Ripudaman Singh Malik, who was acquitted in the 1985 Air India bombing case, was shot dead in Surrey in Canada on Thursday morning. Here are 5 things to know about him.
Ripudaman Singh Malik is a businessman. He is a very well-heeled businessman as well as a philanthropist based out of Canada. And he was in fact going to work. He used to every day drive down from Vancouver to Surrey, where he had this warehouse. So he had parked his car there. He was about to get out when a gunman with 2 pistols, a masked gunman, shot him dead. And in the usual fashion, later a burnt car was found a little away from the incident. So this is what happened around 9 a.m. on Thursday. This was his usual routine. So what Ripudaman Malik is an Indian who migrated to Canada in 1972. I think, 1972. So he started off driving a cab, the usual manner. And then he started his business. He started an import business in which he used to get clothes made in India, Philippines, Thailand, China, and sell them there. So I think his company was called Pepilon Imports. And he also had a lot of real estate holdings, etc. In fact, he and his wife did extremely well. So he was a millionaire many times over when he was charged with conspiracy in the Air India bombing case. So an Air India flight crashed near the Irish coast in 1985, and 331 passengers, mostly Indian Canadians traveling to India, were killed in the blast. So it was supposedly the handiwork of Babbar Khalsa, a militant group. And the charge against Ripudaman was that he was bankrolling the mastermind. Even though he spent 4 years in prison, when he along with another person, Ajay Singh Bagdi, were the co-accused in the case, and but they could not be convicted. They were not convicted. So the entire allegation was based on the testimony of one woman, one witness, and which was later refuted, which wasn't strong enough to build a case against him. So after 4 years in prison, he was acquitted in 2005, and of these charges of conspiracy and of bankrolling this whole plot, this bomb blast plot. But yes, so even today, after his death, his son, he said, regardless of the fact that he was acquitted, but there was this trial by the media, and there was this very strong opinion in even Royal Canadian Mounted Police that despite his acquittal, he was always in the gray zone in the general public mind. So he says, I hope that did not lead to this event. This killing. See, he was considered close to Talvinder Singh Parmar. Talvinder Singh Parmar he headed a faction of the Babbar Khalsa in Punjab. So, and he was considered the mastermind of the Kanishka bombing. So, which is why there were these doubts about whether he had a role to play in this incident as well or not. Although his name was legally cleared, officially cleared. And since Babbar Khalsa itself, it is a terrorist organization. It was very active during militancy in Punjab, and they committed a lot of heinous acts. Talvinder Singh Parmar himself was killed by the Punjab police in 1992. So it was this connection which kind of, they were allegations. You can't say you could substantiate them, but there were allegations. And for instance, a Canadian media or leading paper in Canada reported how Talvinder Singh Parmar's relatives were employed by Ripudaman Malik in his schools. Because apart from his import-export business, Malik was also into education. So he had opened a number of Khalsa schools in Canada. And so besides teaching Canadian syllabus, They would also teach Punjabi language and Sikh history to students. And the allegations were that he had employed some of Parmar's relatives. Parmar, who was a Babbar Khalsa militant. I was just reading somewhere, the former DSGMC president, Delhi Sikh Gurdwara Managing Committee president, he said that Ripudaman Malik left India on the intervening night of 6th and 7th June. He was in India for about a fortnight, beginning May, and he traveled to Maharashtra, to, I think, Orissa, and he traveled to a couple of places. So this was his most recent visit. Before that, he came to India after 24 years in 2019. Because, after his name figured in the blast, he was blacklisted by the Indian government. So there was no way he could get a visa to come to India. So he came only in December 2019 after the BJP government, after the Modi government cleared his name from the blacklist. That was his second last visit to India. That was the time he came to the Golden Temple. It was in January, on January 17th this year, a month before the assembly elections in Punjab. He wrote a long letter of thanks to the Prime Minister. He thanked him for all his pro-Sikh initiatives, right from the government reopening the 1984 riots cases which had been closed, the reopening of the Kartarpur Sahib corridor, the way the government celebrated Guru Nanak's 500th anniversary. There was another commemoration of the Shahidi, of the martyrdom day of the sons of Guru Gobind Singh. So all of that, he in a very detailed letter, he thanked the Prime Minister for all these initiatives. And also, he made an appeal to Sikhs living in Canada of, how there is a malicious campaign against the Prime Minister, which is ill-founded. I mean, he said, there is a lot of good Mr. Modi is doing for the Sikhs. And he hinted that there was a foreign power behind this, campaign against the Prime Minister. So after this, the BJP government, the party, they in fact carried his letter on their website and also a picture of Ripudaman Malik paying obeisance at the Golden Temple.